It was trolling with the trolls, but I never said I'm a natural bodybuilder. I never said that in my life. Why? How could I?
So if I make a video saying you're not natural and you say stop talking about other men and you get mad at me and you're freaking out, that's not counting as saying, hey, I'm natural? Coach Greg, and hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Remember when I called Cali Muscle out saying, I don't think he's natural, and he was upset, pissed off, made videos, stopped talking about other men. Well, here it is, we've come full circle, and he's 100% open and honest of everything he's ever done. He had a heart attack, and it's his life's mission now to inform everyone of the dangers of using PEDs. Made a video dating back to when he first started everything, all the dangers, the scares, the near-death experiences he suffered from taking PEDs. And so we're going to go over the video and educate you on his mistakes.
He told me that I would come in and kill the bodybuilding game if I got on some roids, right? And at this time, I'm in my early 30s.
And so Cali Muscle, he has amazing genetics. He never needed to take steroids until he was in his early 30s. First time he took steroids, he immediately saw the difference, put on 5 pounds of muscles in a matter of weeks. And I have to warn you, once you start and you see the gains that you can make, it becomes extremely difficult to train and compete without it. And before you know it, you're taking test, trend, GHD ball, everything and anything to put on as much muscle as humanly possible. And with that, let's just take a break here to remind you to subscribe and click the bell button if you like this information. Remember, less than 50% of people watching me are subscribers, so please do me a favor, subscribe. You don't have to buy anything, even though I have supplements you can buy. You don't have to buy any if you could just become a subscriber. And remember, I have newsletter subscriber. We're giving away free training plans right now for everyone who becomes a newsletter subscriber. That's right, free 20 paid, not just some simple plan. This is quality information. Could be selling it for tons of money. It's free. All you need to do is become a newsletter subscriber. Not only that, you get 5 free recipes. We're giving away free stuff every single week and going to be working on a free nutrition plan, all free, all for becoming a newsletter subscriber. So please subscribe, click the bell button right now.
So when I was getting ready for that first show, I just got on like Test and Nanthate, Winstrol, and I would take an anti-estrogen Remedex.
And so he essentially experimented with everything. And remember, this is over 15 years ago, long before YouTubers came out and explained what the steroids do, the side effects, and so on. Back then, you had to go on forums, learn from other people, perhaps talk to people in the gym, and you didn't have the quality information that you have today.
During the time of me doing these bodybuilding shows, I studied a minimum of 8 hours a day.
Really, 8 hours a day, in my humble opinion, which isn't humble at all, I just don't believe it. Cali Muscle does not seem to be someone who is highly educated on PEDs. I wouldn't say he's qualified to explain to people the dangers, the side effects, the benefits, pros, cons of various compounds that he's injected into his body. The way he explains things in the various videos, I simply don't think he has that much knowledge. But listen, maybe he is telling the truth. And think of it, if he spent 8 hours a day to learn about how to use steroids, and you don't read at all, what chance do you have? Sure, you might watch a couple of videos from Coach Greg or Derek from More Plates, More Dates, but does that really qualify you to inject things, to experiment with drugs that you don't really know anything about? And so if you are going to do this, and I caution you that you probably shouldn't, especially without the advice of your doctor, please do your research. I spent years researching PEDs. Years, for hours a day. Not 8 hours a day for a couple of days, years. Before I even touched them for the first time, I knew more than 99% of bodybuilders about what they actually do. And unlike most people who begin steroids in their teens or early 20s, I was much later in life. I had already done 42 natural bodybuilding competitions by this point. Learn how your body works without them, because trust me, if you know how to train and eat natural and you can maximize your gains, the use of PEDs, once you do use them, it's going to be better.
I knew I wanted to stay full but look shredded. So I had to try clenbuterol. I had to try T3.
Adding Clen to stay full but be shredded, that doesn't make sense. Clenbuterol is not something you just add into a cycle to be shredded while staying full. You can 100% do this with diet. However, if you're a competitive bodybuilder, you're looking for every single advantage you can get to get you to the stage. No longer is single-digit body fat good enough. You need to be the leanest person stepping on that stage. 4% body fat.
I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't have no advisor. The guys I knew was amateurs that was guessing as well.
And so I can't stress this enough. If you're a competitive bodybuilder abusing PDs and you don't have a coach that you can trust that knows exactly what he's talking about, then you are playing Russian roulette with your health.
So this scar was a big old boil. And so it took about a week and I got in a bath, hot bath. I mean, it was excruciating pain, man.
Okay, a lot to say here. So he's saying he got a bad infection, a boil, from injecting bad testosterone. Testosterone sometimes can be contaminated, it could have bacteria in it, and if you inject it, you can in fact get an infection, and it is very serious. But it's not the only way you can get one. If you are not swabbing the area, there's bacteria on your skin, and you do an injection, you could also get an infection, and it's not from the steroid itself, it's from the fact that you're not injecting properly. He points to his lower ab area. That is not a location for injecting testosterone. And brings me to another point. A lot of people, when you see someone shredded, they see little bumps on your skin. That is not injection spots. I have never injected steroids into my abs. Also, when you're injecting growth hormone, IGF, various peptides, you're doing so subcutaneously. That means under the skin, not intramuscular, which is into the muscle. And so those bumps, they're often lipomas that you cannot see unless you're shredded. Think of it, does the average person have thin enough skin that you can actually see little bumps on the abs? Of course not. But when you're 4 or 5% body fat, dehydrated, posing on stage, you're gonna see all the little bumps that occur on the human body.
Let me tell you about how I got up to 270. I was 250 and decided to get on insulin.
Next, he decided to use insulin, one of the most dangerous things a bodybuilder could ever use. And the sad thing is, insulin, it's often available over the counter. And so what did he do? Well, he almost died from injecting insulin. He hadn't eaten enough carbs and or sugar and went about his day helping his friend move. He started getting sweats, got dizzy, and this can put you into a coma. You need food immediately. If you measure it wrong, you're off by a decimal place. That could be the difference between life and death. And so if you're questioning whether or not you need to take insulin, you don't. It is simply not worth it.
My max on testosterone was, I was up to $1,000. So that was like 1 cc a week of testosterone, which is 250.
And so he says, I was taking 1,000 mils of test a week, and he was using sus 250, and so that's 1 mil. No, it's 4 mils. 4 times 250 is 1,000. Oftentimes, I will ask elite level bodybuilders, even IFBB pros, what is your cycle? And they'll say, I'm doing 2 cc's of this and 2 cc's of that. And I'm like, well, is it tren ace or tren nth? Because one is going to be dosed differently than the other. And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, how can you not know? I'm like, how am I supposed to help you? Normally, tren ace dosed at 100, tren nth, longer ester dosed at 200. And people, even the top IFBB pros, they have no clue what they're taking. And so what people assume is that if you're a pro, that you have IFBB pro next to your name, that it somehow means you're a genius, that you know everything about steroids. The truth is, the majority of pros, they don't know what they're doing and or why. They listen to their coaches. However, I caution you, the buck stops with you. It ultimately comes down on your shoulders. If the coach gave you the wrong doses, told you bad advice, and you do something and it harms you, you can't just point the finger and say, oh, I blame the coach. Well, guess what? The coach is not the one that's going to have to suffer with those consequences. And so anytime you decide to do anything, please be sure that you've researched it yourself and that you are confident and know what you're doing. And by all means, please do so with the advice of a doctor.
The vascularity came from me keeping my estrogen low. And I kept my estrogen low by staying on the Remedex.
And everyone knows just how vascular Kali muscle is. He has veins popping out everywhere. He says that's attributed because he was taking a Remedex. It's not true. When you are very vascular, it's partly due to your genetics and partly due to the fact that you're taking steroids. Steroids, for example, testosterone, equipoise, they increase red blood cell count. You have literally more blood in your body, thicker blood. Some people, they are absolutely shredded and don't have a lot of veins. Others, they're not as shredded and you can see veins going everywhere. Now, with that being said, Arimidex is an anti-estrogen. It will lower the estrogen total in your body. This will allow you to hold on to less water, and with less water, you will be slightly more dehydrated, and when you're more dehydrated, you can see more veins.
So I would stay on Arimidex year round. And that's how I kept my lean, vascular, hard look.
And so for those of you thinking, well, I'll just take Arimidex so I can look lean year-round, I'll lower my estrogen, it comes with negative side effects. For example, it's bad for your cholesterol. This can lead to cardiovascular disease. So don't just take Arimidex just thinking, I want to look leaner. It can also lower your estrogen, your estradiol levels will go down. This will decrease your sex drive and make it more difficult to build muscle. And so I hope you realize this. You might think, oh, I'm just taking one drug. I'm taking one drug, steroids, testosterone. But meanwhile, that testosterone is causing you to require another drug, Arimidex, to lower your estrogen. And perhaps your blood pressure is too high, and then you're taking blood pressure medications. Perhaps you then train hard, you're taking stimulants, and so you're having a hard time going to bed. You take sleeping pills. You then wake up, you're too tired, you're drinking coffee, taking pre-workout all day long, fat burners. And so before you know it, you're taking 10, 20 drugs after thinking, oh, I'll just do one cycle.
That was my off-season stack. Tesonanthate, Trend 600, sometimes Anadrol, sometimes D-ball, Arimidex. That was my stack.
And so in his off season, it sounds like his stack was 1,000 milligrams of Test, 600 milligrams of Trend, some D-ball or Anadrol, and Arimidex. And think of it, he's taken Anadrol and D-ball, which makes you gain a ton of water, and he's then taking Arimidex to try to lower the water. And so, for example, if you're trying not to hold on a lot of water, rather than taking something like Anadrol or D-ball, you could take something that doesn't hold as much water, like Anavar, Winstrol, T-ball, Superdrol, and so on. And so to acquire the knowledge needed to properly design a cycle for all situations, that is hard. You can't just watch a couple videos and think that you're an expert. It takes years of studying every single steroid, and not only the steroids, what the steroids do, the biology, physiology of the body, what you can take to counter those side effects, and what the drugs you're taking to counter those side effects can also do to you.
So getting ready for shows, Test Prop, Trend, Ace, Winnie, VAR, Clenbuterol, T3.
And so when he switched over to competing for a show, it's a common belief that you should be switching to short esters, that they hold less water. It's not true. Test is test, trend is trend. He switched over from Tesonanthate to Test Prop. All that means is you're going to have to inject greater volumes because Test Prop is dosed at a much lower dose, and you have to do so more frequently. It's annoying. Hated doing this. Never believed in using Prop and Ace for a show and using long esters in the off season. I was always a long ester guy, but hey, that's just my advice. And because he's trying to look shredded for the show, he used orals that didn't hold a lot of water, like Anavar and Winstrol. He used Lasix, which I absolutely hate, in order to drive for competition. One of the most, if not the most dangerous diuretic of all. This is a loop diuretic that continues to work with higher doses. Very, very dangerous in comparison to other more mild diuretics, such as hydrochlorothiazide with triamterene or aldactone. And so Lasix, which is available orally or through injection, will cause the body to lose a lot of electrolytes and water, and sometimes make the muscle appear very flat, cause cramping. Highly recommend that you do not use Lasix when competing in competitions.
I never did anything to pump up my muscles for a day or anything like that.
And Kali Muscle, not one to do site injections, was not a fan of using synthol or hyaluronic acid or any kind of oils to artificially inflame the muscle, make it look bigger than last time.
After a show, I would get off everything. I would do nothing. I would come off everything, do Clomid.
And following the show, he would come off. He did cycle on and off. He gave his body a chance to rest, did a PCT, Clomid, and HCG. However, it was not enough to recover his own natural sperm production, and he went off steroids for 2 years in order to have kids. You may have seen some of his videos where he appeared a lot bigger than others. Well, that is because when you go off steroids, you are going to lose a significant portion of muscle. You might be thinking, yeah, but he's still big. Even off steroids, he's still big. The guy was natural up until his early 30s. He has amazing genetics, and when you have incredible genetics and you train hard, you can be natural and still have the muscles of most people who are on steroids. And so people called him out. You're off cycle. You can tell you've lost all this muscle. Truth is, yep, I was. But he didn't want to admit it back then. Perhaps he was scared that he would get in trouble. We don't know his reasons for being a fake natty back in the day. But he's coming clean now, making this video, hoping that it will encourage people to think twice. If you're thinking about using steroids, don't, or at least do so with the advice of your doctor. Remember, there's no free decisions in this world. You decide to do something, you have to suffer the potential consequences.
Could have been being in prison 11 years, eating top ramen, eating bad food as a kid. And when I got out, I just ate bad food all my life, right?
And so fast forward to present day, he ended up with a heart attack. And he says, well, I don't know if that's from the steroids or perhaps it was from all the crap food that I've been eating for all these years. And listen, it has to be a combination of both. The more negative things you do, the worse it's going to be for your heart, for your health. And listen, nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes. No one is going to never use drugs, never eat something unhealthy, always do the perfect things for your body. And so we try to treat our bodies like a temple, but sometimes we're going to screw up. The least amount of times you can screw up, the better. And so if you're abusing PDs and you're also not doing cardio and you're also eating crap food all the time, then you're playing Russian roulette with your health.
My advice, don't even get on it, bro. Unless you're 35, you go to the doctor, they say your testosterone low.
And so Kali's advice and mine, don't do it. Or at least go see a doctor and see if you really need it. If the doctor decides you need HRT or that your levels are low, then obviously you can make that decision with your doctor. But if you just think you're going to do one cycle and just put on the 10 pounds that you need and that you'll stop, sorry to say, 99% of the time, it's not going to work out that way.
It's made in most of it's made in somebody's kitchen or bathroom. You don't even know where it's coming from. That's why I got that bad infection.
And frankly, it's not mostly made in somebody's bathroom. I mean, let's be honest. They're not literally using a bathtub to make PDs. They're perhaps making it on the stove, but they're certainly not mixing it up in a bathtub. I don't know where that rumor ever came around. He said he got that infection because of that. Well, it very well could be, or it could be because he injected into his stomach without properly disinfecting the area. We don't know. But if you do steroids long enough, chances are you are going to experience a bad infection. Just think of it. If you're injecting yourself 3 times a week over the course of many years, there's got to be one time when you do it wrong where you get a bad batch and you have to expect problems going to happen.
It was trolling with the trolls, but I never said I'm a natural bodybuilder. I never said that in my life. Why? How could I?
So if I make a video saying you're not natural and you say stop talking about other men and you get mad at me and you're freaking out, that's not counting as saying, hey, I'm natural? He's acting like he never said he wasn't natural, that he never insinuated that he was natural, that he never said, I don't take these PDs, that I'm not abusing things.
And then if you're doing social media, you want to be a fitness celebrity or icon or influencer, of course you got to look good, but you don't need to take roids to look good.
And so frankly, I don't know if many people can relate to this because Kali Muscle's genetics are so good that he would look better than 99% of people who take steroids even when he's natural. So he's saying, you don't need to take steroids to look good. You can be a fit influencer. I look great even before taking steroids. Well, frankly, the majority of people who are taking steroids are not IFBB pros. They're not people trying to get a pro card. They're average people who look, in fact, below average, who just want to fit in. They just want to look normal. Perhaps they want to see abs for the first time in their life. Maybe they want to bench 225, 275. They want to look good when they take their shirt off at the beach. They're not guys who are already jacked, who already look amazing and simply don't need it. But do realize that every decision or choice that you make in this world is going to have a consequence. Ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette, IP Pro. Please watch the boops. And remember, harder than last time supplements, natural ones, including testosterone. Everyone is talking about that. Also, creatine, pre-workouts, protein powders, Peri-Lite, Intracore, so much stuff. I can't even explain it all. Click the link in the description. Also, the Circle Diet book, cookbooks, coaching plans by me and my team. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. And until next time, I'm out.